Hello, good day, everybody. My name is Dr. Shaukat Malik. I am Chief Technical Advisor for UNIDO regarding the West Africa Competitiveness Project, Sierra Leone. The two-day training about ISO 9001 2015 is regarding the Module 2 training. In the previous lecture, we have discussed the Module 1, and in the Module 1, we have discussed the basic concept of the quality management system. We have discussed the what is quality and what is the process, what is mean by quality processes, what is the concept of PDCA, what is mean by Plan, Do, Check, Act, what is the process approach, what is the risk-based approach. All these things we have discussed with respect to quality management system because the standard that we are going to discuss now in detail, that is quality management system, and that is called ISO 9001 2015. In the previous schedule, I explained you that we have discussed the entire concept of the quality management system. We have discussed the brief history of this ISO 9001 standard, when this standard has started, and how this standard has moved up to now, this the latest version, that is ISO 9001 2015. Now, in this session, that is module 2. In this module 2 has been divided into the three sections. The section 1 is from clause number 1 to 3. The section number 2 is clause number 4, and section number 3 is clause number 5. When we say class means chapter. Chapter number 1, chapter number 2, chapter number 3, chapter number 4, 5. And as I told you in the previous module 1 training, that overall total there are 10 classes of this ISO 9001 2015. It means these are the 10 chapters of this ISO 9001 2015. But I am going to discuss into explain these all classes, these all chapters, step by step into 4 or maybe into 5 modules. But now this is module 2. In this module, in the section 1, we will discuss about this class number 1 to 3, in section 2, class number 4, and then we will discuss about class number 5. This is the section 1. Section 1 is from class number 1 to 3. Again, these class 1 to 3 are basically the basic classes. These are just introductory classes. The actual standard of this ISO 9001 2015, that starts from class 4. When I say actual does not mean that these classes, class number 1, 2, 3 are not actual. Rather, these are actual classes. These are also part of this ISO 9001 2015 standard. But again, these are not the implementable classes because these are just an introductory classes again. And when we will reach at the class number 4, that will be basically the implementation class. And then class 5 from 4 to 10, those will be implementation classes. Now, as I briefed you that this is a ISO 9001 2015 standard. Here, this is the image of the original standard. We are not going to discuss the original standard, or I am not going to show here you the original standards because I this is the property of ISO, International Organization of Standard, and these are the copyrights. If somebody want to get the copy, either he may get the copy from the ISO. There is the ISO website www.iso.org, or the country standard body that can be approached. In case of Sierra Leone standard body is the member of this International Organization of Standardization. They would be in better position to guide you to how to get the copy of this ISO 9001 standard. But my presentation is basically based on this ISO 9001:2015 standard, but I have elaborated this standard in a way that you may understand each and every class, each and every subclass, and then you may be able to implement these classes into your enterprises. ISO 9001:2015, this is an international standard. Definitely, it is an international standard. And when we say classes, classes mean chapters. And when we say in the standard, wherever you will see in the different sentences, you will see the shall. It means it will indicate the requirement. The should indicates the recommendation. May indicates a permission. Can indicate the possibility or a capability. I mean, you will find different statements into this standard in the different classes and subclasses. That statements would comprise of shall, that statement will comprise of should. Some of the subclasses you will find with the statement may. So this is the basically the explanation that wherever you will find shall, it means it is a requirement of this class or the subclass, and where you can see these kind of words, what are the meaning of these words. Wherever some of the subclasses are the classes you will see at the end note 1, note 2, or simply note. What is the meaning of this note? It indicates the guidance for the clarification of that relevant subclass or class. Uh, these are the basically first three classes. As I explained you, this ISO 9001 2015 have total 10 classes, and today we are going to discuss about class number 1 to 3, and then class number 4, and then class number 5. This class number 1 is basically the scope, class number 2 is the normative reference, class number 3 is the terms and definition. I will little bit explain these classes as well, but first I am going to show you entire 10 classes. The class number 4 is basically the context of the organization. And here, if you see in the standard, if you will see the standard, if you will see the copy of the standard, in the standard you will find the subclasses. In the class number 4, you will find 4 subclasses from 4.1 up to 4.4. We will discuss in this presentation what is this 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. Then the class number 5, that is about leadership. This class contains the 3 subclasses. Class number 6, that is with respect to planning. The classes. Class number 7, that is with respect to support. It contains the 5 subclasses. Class number 8 is very important class. That is with the operation. I mean the operation of any enterprises, or the operation of any industry or the factory. That is with respect to uh, the basically how to operate that organization or that factory. There are round about 7 subclasses into this operation main. The class number 9 is with respect to performance evaluation, 3 subclasses, and 10 as the 3 subclasses. So you have seen here from class number 1 up to class number 10, and you have noted that most of the major classes have the subclasses as well. So in this series of ISO 9001 training, those will contain round about 4 to 5 modules. We have already discussed the module 1. Today we are discussing the module 2. So in these 4 modules, we will discuss entire 10 classes, including the subclasses as well. In the module 1, I explained you the concept about Dr. Diamond cycle, or we call it the PDCA, this PDCA cycle. I explained you what it means this PDCA or the PDSA as well. But with respect to this PDCA, plan, do, check, act, any task you have to do, first you have to plan that task, then you have to do it, then you have to check that whatsoever you have planned, you have done accordingly as per the plan or not, and if there are some gaps, you have to act accordingly to correct those gaps into the next planning. And if you will keep on doing this cycle, you will get improvement into your system. I am using the word of system. And in the module 1, we have discussed about what is mean by system, what is mean by quality, and what is mean by management. So overall, we have discussed the quality management system. If somebody need further concept about this quality management system, I would refer my lecture in the module 1. But as I explained you that the theme of this entire ISO 9001 2015 standard is PDCA. This standard has been designed by keeping in mind the concept of PDCA, and if you see these clauses, I explained you the implementable clauses basically starts from clause number 4, and if we go horizontally, these clauses go up to clause number 10. Okay, and if you see in each clause, I have shown you in the previous slides, then each clause have some subclauses. For example, this is clause number 4, and this clause number 4, there are 4 subclauses. Clause number 5, 3 subclauses. 6 has 3 subclauses. 7 has 5 subclauses. But if I divide it into the PDCA, then I can say that from clause number 4 up to clause number 7, the context of organization up to clause number 7, that is support, these clauses are basically with respect to plan. These clauses are with respect to planning. Although there is clause number 6 is with respect to planning specifically, but overall these clauses, clause 4 to 7, basically are designed with the concept of plan. This is the plan phase. Then this clause number 8 is basically the do phase of ISO 9001 2015. This is the check phase. This is yellow. And this is act phase, that is clause number 10. And it is round about pink. If you see from clause number 4 up to 10, these have been divided into PDCA cycle. But the risk-based approach is embedded in it. The other approach that we discussed, that is the process approach, and the process is input, process, output, CPOC. We discussed about CPOC in the first module, that was the supplier, input, process, output, customer. That was the CPOC. The CPOC is also embedded in it. When we will discuss these clauses one by one, then I will explain you that how the risk-based approach is there from class 4 up to class 10. The CPOC approach you will find in each and every class. You will find the CPOC approach and you will find the risk-based approach as well, while these all classes have been divided into PDCA cycle and PDCA approach. This is class number 2, and class number 3, as I explained you, this class number 3 is basically terms and definition. Different terms and definition has been discussed, and when we will move along the different slides and along the explanation of this ISO 9001 2015, on the way, all these terms and definition need to be discussed in different classes, and that would be the better place to discuss in detail about these terms and definition. If I will discuss these terms and definition now, it will be irrelevant and it will not be possible to understand, because the context would be different, because here it would be discussable as an individual, definition. For example, if this is a record. For example, if you see this is a record class. In the record class, yes, I can say that record is basically record mean the different uh, records. Either these are different. I mean, for example, if you have a quotation to procure something, that is a record. If you have you have checked your product and you have got a test report of that product, that is a record. If you have given the quotation to about your products to some of your customer, that is record. So there are many records. Some of the are the management records. Your employee attendance is a record. Your salary slip is a record. But with respect to quality management system, it would be better when this class would come where this record terminology would be there. Then I will discuss about this thing in detail. So all these terms and definitions in class number. And now the section 2. Section 2 is about class number 4. In this section 2, I have included the two classes. One is the class number 4 and one is the class number 5. So this section 2 is about class number 4. And this class number 4 is very important class. That is the first class from where we can say that our implementation need to be started with respect to ISO 9001-2015 standard. And that is the context of the organization. Context of the organization mean what is basically the background of your organization, what are the products of your organization, what are the strengths of your organization, what are the basically weaknesses, what are the opportunities, what are the threats, what are your stakeholders, who are your customers, who are your buyers, who are your suppliers. So all this thing is with respect to context of the organization, and this context of the organization has been further subdivided into these uh, four subclasses. The class number 4.1 is the understanding the organization and its context. 4.2 is about understanding the need and expectation of the interested parties. 4.3 is the determining the scope of the quality management system, and 4.4 is the quality management system and its processes. This is a new class. In the old version ISO 9001-2008, this class was not available. That is why I will say that this is a new class. And this class 4.1, that is one of the subclass of this major class I told you, that is understanding the organization and its context. Identify the internal and external issues that can affect customer satisfaction and the delivery of the product. By the way, what is the definition of the quality? Quality means your product as per the specification, your product as per the customer satisfaction. If you will form your product as per the specification of the product, it means customer would satisfy. That is why this is one of the definition of the quality. In the previous module number 1, we have discussed that quality means meeting the customer expectation. So if you do not know that what should be the specification of your end product that you are going to serve to the customer, then you cannot create quality. It means when you are implementing this ISO 9001, that is a standard with respect to quality management system, you have to identify the internal and external issues that can affect the customer satisfaction. And then you have to monitor and review that you are producing the products as per those internal and external specification or external and internal issues, so that your customer should be satisfied. What are the internal issues? The governance of your organization, the culture of your organization, the complexity of your processes, your organization structure, culture, beliefs of the people, principles those are implementing in your organization, how much skill is available, the skill gap of your organization is one of the internal issues that can affect on your quality. And what are the external issues? The external issues are basically the environmental issues, the economic problems in the country, at what level the country is. Maybe you are manufacturing your products and the cost is coming very high, and the economic of that country is not so good that people can buy your product. Either these products would be very good products, then that is not called the quality product. This is a modern definition. No, after the Chinese era. Before the China, the Japanese products were very popular. And sorry, I'm mentioning the country names, but these are the realities. Are very good, but the cost was high. And before the Japan, American products were very good, and cost was too high. Okay. So if your products are too good, but cost is too much, and that is beyond the buying power of the customer, then that product is not a quality product also. So these are some of the you have to, when you are designing your basically manufacturing process, when you are designing your company system, you have to keep in mind all these internal and external issues, and that then you have to keep on monitoring those internal and external issues. I mean, if you have an eye about internal and external issues, you can understand, okay, your competitor is coming, that is one of the external issue, and maybe then you have to change your product accordingly to meet that competitor. Also, maybe new technology is coming. The Nokia mobiles were very good, but they have not adopted this touch system and this modern smartphone system uh, at the right time, because they have not understood the external issues those were going on in the market, and people were buying the smartphones, and that is why the era of the Apple phone and era of the Samsung phone that has been succeeded, but the Nokia phone, those were very much popular in the beginning, they have not succeeded. So you have to keep in mind always the context of the organization, and with respect to context, this class 4.1, that is understanding the organization and its context, that is very, very important. I'm not going in detail at this stage, because when we would start implementation of this class number 4 into some organization, that would be the better time to discuss in detail with respect to respective organizations. Then this class 4 has further subclass, that is 4.2, that is understanding the need and expectation of the interested parties. What are the interested parties? Interested parties are those parties that have interest into your product. Your customer has the interest, definitely. Customer is one, client and customer is one of the interested party. Definitely, if I see the broader sense, then the society, then the country is one of the interested party. And if I say supplier is also interested party, because if you are not, supplier is part of your entire team. Your employees is part of your entire team. Your management, owners, shareholders, all these are basically the interested parties. Those have the interest with respect to operation of your organization. That is why they have the interest with respect to quality management system. But definitely you have to see uh, that how many out of there will be maybe the what about the regulators. Regulator is also one of the interested party. In some of the countries, regulator have a different standard to produce different products, specifically food products. So that is one of the interested party. So you have to design these interested party, and you have to understand the need and expectation of the interested party in clause number 4, that is context of the organization. Then the clause number 4, further subclause, that is 4.3, determining the scope of quality management system. Scope of the quality management system, if we say the previous standard, that is ISO 9001 2008 standard, the scope of the quality management system starts in some of the organization. You will see that with respect to these 10 clauses, you will see different procedures, quality system procedures. They have written each and every clause, and they have converted these clauses and sub-clauses into different procedures. Then they have converted some of the sub-clauses into different work instructions, different forms, and then overall they have basically linked all these forms and work instructions and all these procedures into a quality manual. But in this new ISO 9001 2015 standard, there's a provision that organizations should decide themselves. Okay, because this was one of the negative things for ISO 9001, that ISO 9001 demands too much documentation. That is why in this ISO 9001 2015 standard, it has been given basically the opportunity to the management, that management must decide that what kind of documentation, how much documentation it is required, how much basically uh, system should be in written form, and how much work instruction should be in written form, and how much work instruction should not be in written form. And that is part of the understanding of the skill of the pupil. So that is why this determining the scope of the quality management system is the matter of the organization, and it will vary from organization to the organization. Quality management system and its processes. Again, this is related with the previous subclass. This is almost same thing, that with respect to the process approach, I mean quality management system and its processes. Uh, Processes, we have discussed the processes in the last module. I have explained you what is mean by process. Uh, for the process, you need certain input, then you need certain activities. Those are called process, and then you need output. So here it has been described that your quality management system is basically should be written in a way that it should address the approach of the process as well. Okay, for example, who is the customer of your assembly line? Okay, who is the customer of your supplier of the assembly line? Okay, so the department behind the assembly line, that is supplier. Then the assembly line is the customer, and who is the basically uh, uh, and then this would be supplier of the customer. Okay, so this is a chain, and we will discuss it a little bit more when we come in the coming slides. Uh, Overall, the organization, when we are going to implement this QMS system, the input required and output expected from the QMS processes determine the sequence and interaction of these processes. Then you have to maintain the criteria and what kind of monitoring you will find for these processes, and then you have to address the risk into those processes, and then you have to basically address the risk. I mean, as I explained to you, basically overall in the entire ISO 9001, there is a PDC approach, plan, do, check, act approach, and then PDC. In the PDC approach, there is a risk-based thinking approach. For example, if you are getting the input, if you are a manufacturing of the water, you are getting the raw water, then you are purifying this raw water through the osmosis process, and then you are packing this raw water, and then you are supplying this raw water. Now, to achieve all this, you need certain planning. Definitely, the supply chain planning is one of the planning. Then you need risk-based approach into that supply chain planning. You need manufacturing planning. You need operational planning. You need inventory planning. You need procurement planning. But into all the types of the planning, you need risk-based approach. And then in the risk-based approach, you need the process approach as well. So this is all uh, integrated in this way. In the section 3, that is clause number 5, and this clause number 5 is about leadership. The clause number 4, we have discussed clause number 4 with respect to context of the organization, and in the context of the organization, we have discussed about basically the opportunities, we have discussed about strength and weakness, and we have discussed about internal issues, external issues, and by keeping in mind all these input and output, you have to basically decide the context of the organization in a way that it must fulfill the customer requirement. It must fulfill the customer satisfaction of your final product. Ultimate objective is that. But all this depend upon the leadership, because it is the leadership who has to basically plan with respect to all these resources, with respect to all these information, and with respect to all these steps. So this clause number 5, that is chapter number 5, about the leadership is very, very important. And this leadership has been divided into basically this clause number 5, that is the leadership clause. First, it has been divided into 3 subclasses. That is 5.1 leadership and commitment, 5.2 policy, this is the quality policy, and then 5.3 is the organization role, responsibilities, and authorities. But again, this subclass has been divided into further 2 subclasses. This subclass has been divided into further two subclasses, and this is basically the already major subclass. So this is basically a general class about the leadership. If you see these are the different leadership basically bullet points that leadership has to perform into the organization. Taking accountability of the effectiveness. If effectiveness is not there in the organization, then leadership is accountable for it. Ensure the quality policy and objective into the organization. Promote the culture of training and awareness. Provide the resources. Ensure that quality procedures with respect to ISO 9001 have been written in a good way and communicated and understood to each and every relevant person. The job description for the pupil. Promoting the culture of the continual improvement and promoting the culture of the quality. Support the other management roles and responsibility. This all different bullet points are basically is the role of the leadership. This 5.1.2 is the customer focus. What is mean by customer focus? Customer focus is basically if you see, this is organization, and this entire process has been described. Customer focus process has been described with respect to the CPOC way: supplier, input, process, output, customer. But with respect to customer, here this is the organization, and if we want to satisfy the customer, we must know the customer requirement. Identify and review the customer requirement, what the customer want, and how we can basically get this information. Some of the organization do the market survey. Some of the organization do the customer requirement survey. Some of the organization get this information directly from the customer in different ways. There are many ways with respect to this customer requirement to identify and review this customer requirement, what actually customer want. Then this will be input for your organization processes. You will decide the organization processes as per the customer requirement. But in deciding the organization processes, you have to identify the risk. When you will manufacturing your product and your product would supply to the customer, then you will get the feedback, complaint or the feedback. Complaint would come automatically. For example, if you are manufacturing a mobile phone and your mobile phone is not working good into the market, and people have bought one of the mobile set and that was not working properly, he would complain, and complaint will come automatically. But if people are not complaining, maybe there are some of the minor problems are there, or maybe people need more good specification into the mobile phone, then you have to get the feedback from the customer. That would not come automatically. In some cases it will come, but most of the cases you have to get this feedback again by contacting with your customer, and you have to check that your customer is satisfied or not. Here your product or your services would be supplied to the customer, and here you will get the customer feedback. And if you are following this process, your customer would be satisfied. And into the module 1, when we discussed about the quality assurance, or when we discussed about entire quality management system, you have learned into that one of the part of the quality management system was to get feedback from the customer and go into the input and go into the process and correct and amend those processes or input as per the customer feedback so that customer must be satisfied. That was the complete quality management system we have discussed in module 1. Quality policy in some of the organization, when you will go in the organization, you will see a very good quality policy written and mounted on the walls into beautiful frames. But that is not objective. I mean, that is not a problem if that is mounted in a beautiful way on the walls, but actually objective is to write with the true spirit. Quality policy is basically your vision and your mission, your company vision and your company mission with respect to quality to satisfy the customer need and to meet the customer need and expectation and to cascade that policy, that is quality policy, uh, into the different operations of your company in the shape of quality objectives. So, writing of the quality policy, mounting it on the walls or in the offices is one step, but then establish and communicating that quality policy into your entire organization, that is the true spirit. And then you will get the continual improvement, then you will get the customer satisfaction, and then that policy would be basically reflected into your each and every step, into your each and every decision. So what is this quality? How to write this quality policy? I have just given because I got feedback from different organizations that people are unable to write this quality policy. So this is just, I'm not going in detail, just this is just a sample quality policy of one of the organization. I have put here company XYZ, but if you want to write it, you can read it, but do not write it exactly as it is. Then you will get an idea that how to write the quality policy with respect to your own company point of view. Better is to first go into clause number 4, that is context of the organization, and after identifying the need and expectation, the opportunities and threats and strength, you would be in better position to write this quality policy. And quality policy is always uh, written either by the CEO, by the owner of the company, or he can basically develop one of the team, a high level team to write this quality policy, and then he can provide or she can provide his or her own input to finalize this quality policy. Normally the quality policy should not be more than 1 page, or better it should be into half page. The quality policy, these are some of the important things, but you can address even more. But at least when you are writing the quality policy, these things should be there. I mean, that quality policy should be appropriate as per the context of the organization. There should be some commitment from the top management about improving the organization with respect to quality in a continual improvement way. Uh, then there should be some statement that quality policy would be cascading into quality objective and would be communicated and understood by all the people, all the staff, all the employee of the company, but it would never be a static document. It would be periodic reviewed as per the changing atmosphere with respect to external and internal opportunities and threats. I mean, once you have written the quality policy, it is better to change it or review it at least every 3 to 4 years. But even you can review it every year. But it should be some short, sweet, and memorable type document. Better it should be in a half page. If not, then maximum 1 page is enough for it. But this is not written into the standard that it should be half page or 1 page. I mean, better is that it should be in a concise way. This is another example of this quality policy. So in these slides, I have put the two examples of this quality policy and one of the explanation about this quality policy, how to write it. Organization roles and responsibilities and authorities. This is class 5.3. I mean, in the organization, the top management or the management that can impact or affect the quality management system. Normally, I will always say that up to the middle management, there should be some job description, there should be job specification, there should be responsibilities. When I say responsibilities, responsibilities without authority, there's nothing. So there should be some authority, there should be written job description, and in the job description, you can write the roles, you can write the responsibilities, and you can write the authorities, and you can write and you must write that to whom this staff member is responsible to report and who is reporting to him. I mean, both should be there. So the reporting process, the responsibilities, the authorities, it should be well understood and well communicated at the maximum all level of the employees, so that everybody should be in a clear way that what he has to do and what is expected from him with respect to his roles and responsibilities by the top management. So this is very, very important that in most of the companies I have observed that this is a missing element or this element has been written just for formalities. But believe me, if you will write it in a proper way, you will get the good results. You will get the good motivation in your company. So today we have discussed this module 2, and in this module 2 we have discussed class number 1 to 3. That was just the small overview of class number 1 to 3. The actual class, as I told you, the implementation class start from the class number 4. We have discussed the class number 4, that is context of the organization, and then we have discussed about class number 5, that is about leadership. In class number 4, you have seen subclasses, and in class number 5, you have noted further subclasses. Please listen this module. This is module 2. Listen it carefully, and in the coming week, then once you will listen it carefully, then we will discuss in detail about your question and answer. If you have not understood anything, please write your notes so that when we discussed online in detail, you may be able to ask the question and I may be able to explain it clearly. So up to now, we have finished the module 1, and today we have finished this module 2. This is the Twitter accounts. This is my Twitter account, Dr. Shaukat Malik. Project Twitter account, Sierra Leone Competitive Project Twitter account is also here. And we have our Facebook account as well. Please go on this page and like it. and keep in touch with us. We have very good local team available. They will always keep on updating our different activities on this Twitter and Facebook account, and we have a media team as well. Please keep in touch, and in the coming week we will discuss this module 2. We will discuss in detail, and I would try to reply your all questions with respect to implementation point of view. When you listen this module 2 or any module, please keep one thing in your module, that you have to listen it with respect to implementation point of view in your organization, so that when you have to implement, you can implement it, and when you have to write the question, you have to write the question in a way that you can understood the implementation. Thank you very much. In the coming week you will get my lecture about module 3. Bye bye.